You think about it, there are certain cases where you feel like, oh, there's not any urgency or forward momentum. For example, just look at the Book of Boba Fett. Man, the problem with that show is it moved too slowly. In particular, the present day storyline. Not only because the show wasted a bunch of time with red herrings, it didn't quickly enough establish who the villains actually were. So for a long time, it's like, we don't exactly know who the bad guys are. It's more that there's this idea that there's people out there that are opposed to Boba Fett. It's just vague, nebulous thing, but we don't really know who the actual villains are. And then we learn it's the Pike Syndicate, but it's not until the ending of episode 5, well into the show, that they actually feel like a threat that we urgently need to defeat. That's when they blow up that building. Before then, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, there are Pike Syndicate people out there, but, why should I care? It doesn't really seem like the characters in the show care. It doesn't seem like the Pikes really pose much of a threat. And then finally, they do, but then you get to the final episode, and it's just a bunch of faceless, generic, interchangeable Pike Syndicate members that are just taken out, and the show doesn't even clearly say who the leader is. And then you see Fennec Shand take out all these Pike people, and she does it so casually that we just don't care. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. She just takes out some of them. Not a big deal at all. Also, look at Star Wars Attack of the Clones. Not only does your main villain Count Dooku have a stunningly little amount of screen time, he doesn't even show up in the movie until an hour and a half in. After the opening where Padme's life is in danger, her and Anakin go back to Naboo, and it seems like they don't care at all about the assassination plotline. So it's like, okay, well, I don't really care either, because they are not making any attempt whatsoever to conceal themselves. Like, neither of them feel in any way concerned, so why should we be concerned? And you have Zam Wesell at the beginning. She's not at all the main villain of the movie. She's really just a hired gun. And then you have Jango Fett, who's a morally gray character that's not evil the way that the Sith are. He doesn't have much screen time, and he's definitely not the main villain either. Then of course you have Darth Sidious as the mastermind villain in the shadows, a puppet master planning everything. So Attack the Clones, like, all the stuff on Naboo doesn't have any urgency or forward momentum. And think about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But again, like I was talking about Book of Boba Fett, before you get to later on in the show, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, there are flag smashers out there, but they don't really seem like much of a threat, so why should we care? I mean, sure, they're super soldiers, but they're just stealing medicine, and that's it. So I don't really care, because it doesn't seem like our characters really care much. And then you look at the movie 4 from Kenneth Branagh. One of the problems here is that because it's about 4 going down to Earth to learn humility, until you get to the third act, we see Loki doing stuff, but his machinations are more in the background. So there's not really a lot of urgency or forward momentum, because it doesn't feel like we urgently need to stop Loki until you get to the third act, and suddenly there's a big rush to defeat him. And before then, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, Loki's he's doing stuff that kind of in the background, but I don't really care that much. So all these examples show it's important for you to actually establish who your villains are, make it seem like they're a threat, and to establish that quickly. Us